As we get older, one of the hardest truths to face is the steady shrinking of our social circle. This is something many people don't talk about openly until they feel it themselves, until their phone rings less often, their days grow quieter, and the people they once shared their lives with are no longer there. Reaching your 80s is a remarkable milestone, but it often comes with a heavy emotional price: the gradual disappearance of friends, spouses, siblings, and neighbors who once made life rich with conversation, companionship, and shared history. It's not just about missing someone, it's about losing the very fabric of connection that once held your world together. What makes this reality even more painful is that it's not something you can easily prepare for. In your younger years, your days are full of people, family gatherings, co-workers, friends you meet regularly for coffee or hobbies. But as time goes on, life changes in ways that feel outside of your control. People move away. Some become too frail to visit. Others are taken by illness. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the people who made you feel seen and understood begin to vanish from your everyday life. You look around and realize that many of the voices that once filled your days have gone silent. It's natural to grieve each loss individually, but the cumulative effect can feel overwhelming. The loneliness that emerges from these losses isn't always loud or dramatic. Often, it's quiet and creeping. It shows up in the evenings when no one calls, in the empty chair across from you at dinner, or when you realize it's been weeks since someone truly asked how you're doing. And it's not just emotional. These shifts in your social landscape can impact your health, your energy, even your will to keep engaging with life. There's also a deep psychological impact when longtime friends and partners pass on. These were the people who shared your memories, who remembered the same stories, who knew you from your younger days. Losing them can feel like losing a part of yourself, because they carried pieces of your identity that no one else quite understands. It becomes harder to feel grounded when the people who helped shape who you are no longer around to affirm that shared past. This is one of the most profound kinds of loneliness, and not just being without people, but being without the people who know you. Many older adults try to keep these feelings to themselves. They don't want to burden their children or younger family members. They downplay their grief, saying things like it's just part of life or I'm used to being alone. But the truth is, no one ever truly gets used to losing meaningful connection. We're wired for companionship, for being heard and seen and understood. Aging doesn't change that need, it often intensifies it, especially as we deal with health challenges, limited mobility, and the general slowing down of life. It's important to acknowledge these emotions, not suppress them. Feeling the loss of your social circle is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign that you've lived a life filled with love, friendship, and shared experiences. The pain comes from those bonds, and the absence of them now. If you're feeling this loneliness, know that it's real and valid. You're not imagining it, and you're not alone in facing it, even if it feels that way. But also know this: even though your original social circle may have grown smaller, the possibility of meaningful connection is not gone. New relationships may not look the same as those from your past, but they can still bring joy, support, and warmth. You might find comfort in forming new friendships with people your age who understand the journey you're on, or perhaps connecting with younger generations, so whether family members, neighbors, or volunteers, who can create fresh bonds that, while different, still have depth. The truth is, the shrinking of a social circle after 80 is one of the most emotionally brutal realities of aging, but acknowledging it is the first step toward addressing it. Don't carry the weight of the silence alone. Talk about it. Reach out when you can. Allow yourself to feel the grief, but don't let it close the door on new beginnings. There is still time, still room, still need for connection. And even now, at this stage of life, new relationships, however simple or unexpected, can bring meaning again. Living alone in your later years may seem peaceful or manageable at first, especially if you've always valued your independence. But the emotional toll it can take you, especially after age 80, is something many people aren't prepared for. It's not just the quiet, it's the silence that begins to feel heavy. Day after day, you wake up, move through your routines, and go to bed without truly interacting with another soul. And that absence of connection, of someone sharing your space, noticing your mood, or simply being present, slowly chips away at your emotional well-being. At this stage of life, Many older adults find themselves alone not by choice but by circumstance. A spouse has passed away, children have moved far away with busy lives of their own, and friends are either gone or too limited physically to come around often. Even when your home is safe, clean, and comfortable, it can begin to feel more like a shelter than a sanctuary. The sense of isolation becomes deeper when there's no one to talk to about your day, no one to share a laugh with, and no one to help carry the small burdens like finding your glasses, reading the fine print on a letter, or just making a cup of tea together. What makes emotional loneliness so tricky is that it doesn't always show itself openly. You may go through the motions just fine. You may smile, answer questions politely, and even attend the occasional event. But when you're back home and the door closes behind you, the weight settles in. You might feel invisible. You might start to wonder if anyone truly knows what your life is like now. These feelings can create a slow erosion of your spirit, not a sharp pain, but a dull ache that sits in your chest and makes each day feel a little heavier than the last. The emotional effects of living alone at this age are not just sadness, they can grow into depression, anxiety, or a deep feeling of uselessness. Many older adults begin to feel as though they no longer matter, especially when they don't have regular conversations or opportunities to feel helpful or valued. And when those emotions go unaddressed, they begin to affect not just your heart, but your body. Appetite can decline, sleep may become disrupted, and energy levels drop. You start to move less, engage less, and life begins to shrink around you. There is also the emotional burden of unpredictability. When you live alone, you often worry about what would happen if you fell, got sick, or simply needed help. That uncertainty adds another layer of stress that can wear you down over time. Even if you're still capable, the awareness that there is no one immediately there to notice if something goes wrong can create a low-level tension that never really goes away. It's not just loneliness, it's vulnerability, and that vulnerability can feel scary in ways people half your age rarely understand. But here's something important to remember. Feeling this way doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. And you're living in a very real situation that many seniors are quietly struggling with. You're not alone in this feeling, even if you're physically alone most of the time. And while you may not be able to change everything about your circumstances, you can take steps to improve your emotional landscape. That might mean scheduling regular calls with family, joining a local senior center or online community, asking for a companion visitor through a nonprofit, or even adopting a pet for companionship. The key is recognizing that emotional health matters just as much as physical health, especially when living alone. You deserve to feel connected. You deserve to feel that your life still has meaning and warmth, even if you're spending much of your time by yourself. Don't let pride or habit keep you from reaching out, and don't convince yourself that loneliness is just something you have to accept. It's not a weakness to want company, it's a natural, beautiful part of being alive. And even now, it's possible to find ways to bring emotional connection back into your days. Loneliness is more than just an uncomfortable feeling, it's a serious health risk, especially after age 80. Many people think of loneliness as an emotional issue, something that affects your mood or makes your days feel longer. But what's often overlooked is the profound impact it has on your physical health. In fact, research has shown that chronic loneliness can be just as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It weakens your immune system, increases inflammation, and raises the risk of major health issues such as heart disease, high blood pressure, cognitive decline, and even early death. When you're alone for extended periods, your body reacts as if it's under constant stress. This is because human beings are hardwired for connection. When we lack it, our brains go into a kind of survival mode. Cortisol levels, your body's primary stress hormone, remain elevated, which over time contributes to inflammation throughout the body. That inflammation has been directly linked to a range of diseases, including arthritis, cardiovascular issues, and even certain cancers. It's a domino effect that starts with emotional isolation and ends with serious physical consequences. For seniors in their 80s, the risks are even greater. This stage of life often comes with natural health declines, And when loneliness is added into the mix, the body becomes more vulnerable. One of the most concerning links is between loneliness and cognitive decline. Older adults who are lonely are at a much higher risk of developing dementia and Alzheimer's disease. This is because our brains need stimulation and interaction to stay sharp. When there's no one around to talk to, challenge your thinking, or engage in conversation, your mind begins to lose its edge. You may notice more forgetfulness, more confusion, or even a loss of motivation to stay mentally active. Another major risk is the decline in mobility and physical function. When you're alone and emotionally unwell, you tend to move less. You may lose the drive to take daily walks, cook meals, or do basic household tasks. This leads to muscle weakness, balance problems, and a greater risk of falls. What starts as a quiet emotional burden quickly becomes a physical limitation. It's all connected. Emotional isolation often leads to behavioral withdrawal, which in turn accelerates physical decline. Sleep, too, is often affected. Loneliness can disrupt your natural sleep patterns. Many seniors living alone experience poor sleep. Either they can't fall asleep, or they wake up frequently through the night. Lack of good sleep affects memory, mood, and your immune system. Over time, this adds to your vulnerability to illness and slows down your body's ability to heal and recover. Nutrition is another area that suffers. When no one is around to share meals with, it's common for older adults to skip meals, eat poorly, or lose interest in food altogether. Malnutrition among lonely seniors is more common than most people think. Poor nutrition weakens your body, drains your energy, and makes you more susceptible to illness and injury. Even small things like dehydration or vitamin deficiencies can quickly become serious when you're alone and not feeling your best emotionally. What's important to understand is that the health risks of loneliness aren't just theoretical, they're real, measurable, and well documented. Doctors and researchers now recognize loneliness as a public health issue, especially for seniors. But unlike some medical conditions, loneliness isn't treated with a pill. It requires attention, support, and often a change in behavior or lifestyle. The good news is that this downward spiral is not irreversible. Taking steps to combat loneliness can have a dramatic impact on your health. Even small changes like having regular conversations, joining a group, or engaging in a hobby with others can reduce stress hormones, improve sleep, boost your immune system, and protect your brain. It's never too late to make those changes, and the benefits can be felt surprisingly quickly. If you're over 80 and dealing with chronic loneliness, don't underestimate the toll it's taking on your health. And more importantly, don't believe that nothing can be done. There are ways to reconnect with people, with community, and with purpose. Your body and your mind need that connection just as much now as they ever did, and maybe even more. Reaching out, even when it feels difficult, could be the most powerful health choice you make at this stage in life. Technology has become a powerful tool for connection in today's world, but for many seniors over 80, it can feel like both a lifeline and a barrier. On one hand, video calls, social media, and messaging apps can help bridge the gaps between isolation and companionship. On the other hand, unfamiliarity with these digital tools can deepen the sense of being left behind. The reality is that technology is shaping how people connect, communicate, and maintain relationships, and if you're not part of that digital world, it can feel like you're standing outside a window, watching life happen without you. For seniors who didn't grow up with smartphones, computers, or the internet, learning new technology at an advanced age can be intimidating. The devices seem complicated, the instructions are filled with jargon, and it often feels like the people around you are moving too fast to explain things properly. It's not just about pressing buttons, it's about understanding a whole new way of interacting, and when you feel confused or frustrated by it, it can make you feel even more isolated, even ashamed. Some older adults quietly give up trying, not because they can't learn, but because they've been made to feel like they're too old to keep up. This feeling of exclusion can hurt deeply. It's not just about missing a phone call or not knowing how to send a photo. It's about feeling disconnected from your children, your grandchildren, and even the wider world. You hear them talk about things you don't understand: apps, websites, digital games, streaming services set and you realize that entire parts of their lives are invisible to you. You might sit in a family gathering where everyone is on their phones, talking in digital shorthand, while you quietly wait for someone to include you in a conversation. That kind of disconnection cuts deeper than most people realize. But it's not all bad news. Many older adults who take the time and get the right support to learn basic technology find that it opens up a whole new world. Video chatting with a grandchild, watching church services online, joining virtual book clubs, or simply exchanging messages with old friends can bring an incredible sense of joy and connection. For those living alone, it can be the difference between feeling abandoned and feeling remembered. It's not just communication, it's participation in life. The key is not expecting yourself to learn everything overnight. Start small. Learn how to answer a video call. Learn how to send a text. Ask someone patient, maybe a neighbor, a volunteer, or even a local library tech support staff to walk you through the basics slowly and without judgment. And if someone laughs or seems annoyed, find someone else. You deserve to learn with dignity and respect. You have every right to be part of this connected world, and the tools are out there to help you do just that. There are also wonderful programs specifically for seniors, where technology is taught step by step in plain language. Some libraries, senior centers, and community colleges offer free workshops. Even some churches and retirement communities provide lessons. Taking part in these opportunities doesn't just help you learn the technology, it also puts you in touch with others who are learning too, creating a sense of shared purpose and belonging. At its best, technology can help ease loneliness and reconnect you with the world, but at its worst, it can make you feel more isolated than ever. That's why it's so important to approach it with compassion for yourself and for others your age who may also feel left behind. You're not incapable. You're not too old. You simply weren't raised with this technology, and that's nothing to be ashamed of. With just a little help and patience, you can move from feeling excluded to feeling empowered. And once you experience the warmth of a grandchild's face lighting up on a video call or hear the voice of an old friend from another state, you'll know it was worth learning. You're never too old to reconnect, and sometimes, the first step is just turning the screen on. One of the hardest but most important truths about loneliness in later life is this: no one is coming to rescue you from it. As difficult as it may be to hear, waiting passively for someone to reach out, invite you somewhere, or check in regularly is a recipe for deeper isolation. That's not because people don't care, it's because they're busy, distracted, or unaware of what you're going through. The world moves fast, and when you're in your 80s, it can often feel like it's moved on without you. But here's the reality: if you want more connection in your life, you often have to take the first step. This doesn't mean you need to become someone you're not. You don't have to suddenly be outgoing, social, or tech-savvy. But it does mean recognizing that your well-being is still in your hands. There's strength in that, not weakness. Reaching out, asking for company, or finding new ways to connect with people is not a sign of desperation. It's a declaration that your life still matters, and you still have something to give and receive. It might be as simple as calling someone instead of waiting for them to call you, or writing a letter to an old friend you've lost touch with. Maybe it's joining a walking group or attending a community lunch, even if it feels awkward at first. These small acts of courage can break the cycle of isolation. They create moments of connection that can build into relationships, support systems, and a renewed sense of belonging. Too often, seniors are conditioned to not be a burden, to keep quiet about their loneliness, their fears, or their emotional needs. But silence doesn't protect anyone. In fact, it does the opposite. It keeps you stuck. If you're feeling isolated, speak up. Let your family know. Tell your doctor. Ask your local senior center what programs are available. You have a right to ask for help and to seek companionship, no matter your age. Sometimes the first step is letting go of pride. It's understanding that there is no shame in admitting you're lonely. Everyone feels that way at some point in life. The difference is what we do about it. And the truth is, taking initiative doesn't get easier as you get older. It gets harder. But it also gets more important, because if you don't reach out, No one may even know you need them. People don't always mean to forget, they just get caught up in their own lives. Your action can be the gentle reminder that you're still here and still worth knowing. This mindset shift can change everything. Instead of waiting to be invited, become the one who invites. Instead of seeing yourself as someone who is fading into the background, begin to see yourself as someone with wisdom, stories, and value to share. You're not just a senior, you're a whole person, still capable of forming meaningful bonds, still capable of love, laughter, and joy. And remember, action doesn't have to be grand. If you're tired or dealing with health issues, just making one meaningful connection each week can improve your mental and emotional health. Even a regular chat with a neighbor, a short visit with a volunteer, or a shared meal with someone from your community can make a world of difference. Loneliness is a brutal reality after 80, but it doesn't have to be your final chapter. The truth is, the path out of isolation begins with the decision, a quiet but powerful decision to show up for your own life, to take one step, however small, towards someone else. You don't have to fix everything at once, but you do have to move. And when you do, you might just find that people were more ready to meet you halfway than you ever imagined.